recall a memory of a December night 10 years ago, driving frustrated over a malfunctioning aero arrest in a shortened Kansas hunt, when I noticed a sign on the side of US Highway 36. Shortly after, I pulled up to a bow shop with a problem and an open wallet, where, though it was closing time, I was welcomed at the door by owner Casey Votruba of Votruba Archery. This is where we find ourselves for this week's Shop Talk.
I wouldn't change it for nothing on it, you know. And again, the small town aspect of it gives me that opportunity for the buddy system from the customers, you know, where I don't know if you could really get that much out of the city. I named it after myself. So kind of one of those deals. It was, my last name's a Czechoslovakian name, so I just kind of, nobody's ever really heard of it before. It's not a cliche name or do whatever, so I just kind of named it after myself on that one, or our last name. I can't say there was any more thought about into it. We created the thing with 20 years ago with, you know, on Word, you know, have those little emoji things or those little, just a Algerian font and a guy we found on there and placed him on, and then the logos kind of evolved from there on it.
I quickly learned that December night that Casey had more than a Microsoft logo and Algerian font. His shop, his attitude, and the culture inside those doors was different.
Saved up to buy a bow. Got my first one. I stuffed papers for the Denver Post. My folks lived in Denver at that time off the farm, and saved up my money to buy a bow then. And then at that time, I wanted to take it further. Went to Cabela's, special ordered a Bear Whitetail 2 bow. Went through the whole measurements, dropped the money down. They had the special order for me. Got the bow, and it was a 70-pound, 31-inch draw. And I'm like, you know, maybe $110 at the most at that time. And could not pull it, couldn't do anything on it. They wouldn't take it back because it was special ordered. And I'm like, well, I got measured. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at that time. And ever since that day I swore that if I could get into this sport, I was gonna build an archery shop to where that wouldn't happen.
It's amazing how many times a tough personal experience and motivation to provide more have led to the beginning of something very special.
There was a little club in town, and they all got up and were talking about how they wanted to start an archery shop, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna let this opportunity go. So I'm like, I already started one, and we got an income check back that one year, and we just dumped it into this, and that's been running ever since on it. And there's been some good times and bad times, you know, milestones. I mean, if you walked in here the very first day, we've been in this building originally on it, was little itty bitty little, you know, one little display on that wall, a couple displays in the middle and everything on it. So when all of a sudden we started getting like bulk arrows, that was a big deal for me on that one, you know, so that way people could start getting what they wanted on it versus just having 2 or 3 selection all the time, or, you know, that kind of stuff on it. You know, bows were bows wise, that wasn't a big deal. You know, we had 3 or 4 or 5 in stock or whatever on it.
I have been entrusted with stories of the secret for years, but not a single individual to date has said it as plainly and as sensible as Casey.
If the customers are gonna drop the money into the place, then you probably should do something with the money instead of all of a sudden showing up with a brand new pickup and nothing's changing inside there. So, you know, hopefully they see that not only are they buying the product, but they're in a way investing in the place too. You know, trying to make sure that they have their options.
A selfless and honorable mission to truly put the customer's well-being at the head of his business.
Our actual 3D range over there, that was something that I've always wanted as an indoor range, bigger than just 20 yards. Today's bows, you know, are getting to the point now where they're accurate as all they can be on it. What can we do to make that bow for you more?
You likely hear that Casey and Celeste are very intentional about their movements.
I'm big into making sure the customer checks their own tune. You know, I want to tune it with them, you know, not me do whatever. But so since then, we blew out the back wall, put in a 40-yard range, which you can shoot up to 45. Now I can actually really see what that bow's doing for that customer. Or I can at least get them sighted in enough to where when they leave this shop, they technically could go hunting in the morning.
We got to meet your wife, Celeste, earlier. And you guys have got this unique opportunity again where you have the archery shop here. She has her own graphic
design. She owns McEnroe over on the side over there. Where she does her own custom engraving on products, or makes her own product in-house for her hats and everything else on it too. And that kind of goes into it now. It's been piggybacking on is like I have my dedicated customers that also own businesses to where now I can now make them their own product at a price that they couldn't get before type deal. And you know, we do that within that own little network of our own selves.
As you look at the future of what you have, you said that you have three kids?
3 kids.
Yep.
3 little girls.
3 little girls. Do you see a place in time where your 3 little girls potentially run this store?
God, I hope so, or I'm not retiring at all.
Yeah.
So they're my retirement. I hope they work out. But
Yeah.
I do. That's something I've seen big time in this industry in the past 10 years of just not only the girls getting involved in it a little bit more, but getting the respect of it a little bit more.
You look at businesses like Amazon and the large e-com deliveries and everything that's happened, and I just get this sense that the average rural and urban, in a lot of cases, consumer or customer in the outdoor space is kind of tired of the convenience thing.
Yeah.
You know, they miss a human element of their shopping experience.
You start missing the pro side of it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can use pro as a loose term on
Right.
that one, but pro is basically, something you're making money in, on a hobby or whatever on it. So, but if you can have that interaction with one person, or 2 if you have an employee, or 3 or whatever on it, you know that you're getting that service on the thing on it, versus where all of a sudden you have one sales guy selling you something, then it goes back in the back room, and then it gets put together, and then it handed back to you type deal. So then you're on YouTube trying to figure out how to make it work, So I think you're getting into that point again. I'm hoping it actually grows back up enough to where the pro side of that comes back.
With this support your local bow shop initiative, to see a company that has grown to the size that it is in our industry. Other industries, sure, there's bigger companies, but in our industry, Mossy Oak's they're a flagship brand.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've had, and they still do operate business with box stores and larger retailers, but to see them take the time and even not so much Toxie, the founder, but now his boys running an initiative where they're going countrywide and saying, support your local bow shop. What's that mean to you as a business? Yeah.
It's an old school company. Sometimes we get so far off the realm of everything else on it that it just becomes marketing all the way, shape, or form on it. You can take Mossy Oak for what I know of Mossy Oak. It's just never been a shove the product down your throat type of company. So being able to have them support us type thing on that one's huge without shoving it down, So no, I think it's awesome. I really, really do. So those companies actually sit back and be like, hey, this is what got us here in the first place. Let's make sure that we continue that side of that.
As you look at your business, you talked about that customer and what you're trying to do. What's your hope for the future of this archery shop?
Man, I can honestly tell you about my future is about what it is right now.
Yeah.
So, still having that one-on-one, still having the guys that talk to you. You get to the point where if you come in the shop, I want to start and finish you at that certain time. I don't want you to go drive away. I don't want you to have to come back in a week or two or do whatever. I want to just start and stop the whole process. So that way when you're done, you're done. I sleep better at night. I don't have to sit there and worry about you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about everything else.
After 21 years of dedication to the community, the opportunities in the storefront, and the culture of their store, it's pretty clear to see that the mission of putting the customer at the front of Otruba Archery is creating for a more rewarding outcome. Casey and Celeste's ambition to invest in developing better archers or bow hunters as customers is one to be admired, and likely one that will carry on in the small town of Fairview, Kansas for generations to come.